Bonjour, Kinamagini Ireland Additionicast, and welcome to this math enrichment lesson. Today's lesson, translating phrases and linear expressions. So today is nothing new for you. You've already had to read a problem where it says add 3 to 2 or 3 multiplied by 4 and turn it into a problem. It's a skill that all of you have, and you've done it in 5th grade. But now we're going to introduce you to the next step, and that's going to be including variables. And a variable can include a letter. Yes, the alphabet does play a role in math. Let's look a little bit more into that with our new share of the whiteboard. And I'm going to give you some examples here. So if I saw here the sum of 9 and let's say m, what kind of problem involves a sum? If you said addition, you're right. Remember, sums are addition, differences, subtraction, products, multiplication, quotients are for division. So now I need to know the sum of 9 and m. So what would you think I should do? If I'm looking for the sum, I'm adding, right? And what are the two things I'm adding? A 9 and an m. And granted, in this case, we don't know what that m is, so we're not going to solve it. Today, we're worried about just writing out the expression. There will come a time where you will be able to solve it in a very short order, but today is not that day. So let's look at some additional options. Let's say r divided by 7, 8. So what could I do? Divide it. It's telling me what operation. I know that r is being divided by 8, so r is going to be my dividend and 8 by my divisor. So I could go r divided by 8 like that. I could also, I'm going to use this tool for this one, r like that. I could go like that, which is similar to this, but just vertical. So all of those are ways that I could do that one. Let's look at some addition. Let's go. The product of 5 and n. Now this one gets a little interesting. I'm going to extend this out just for us, because I could do it a lot of different ways. I could go 5 times n, and you're familiar with that. I could go 5n, and this is the way you're going to start to see it next year when we start writing out algebraic expressions. We skip putting that x in there. And why do you think that might be? Well, x is a letter, and we don't want to confuse ourselves when writing by using an X. I also recommend you don't use a T, an O, an S, an L, an I. You want to use variables that aren't going to make you think it's a number or an operation when given the chance. I could also write that like 5 times n, or 5, and I don't know that I have it. Oops. I need that there. 5 times n. All of these are the same thing. It's 5 times n. And yes, I am aware that this could be confusing early on, as it's like Mr. I, these are different problems. They look that way, but they're all asking you to do the same thing, to find the product of 5 and n. Let's say 2/3 of g. So in this situation, you're going to just go 2/3 times g. It might be easier to see if I write it like this. So instead of having a whole number such as, and you remember back where we would do 2/3 of 7, and we just put 7 over 1. Well, now instead of knowing what that 7 is, we just have a g. And eventually, yeah, you might say it's a g over 1 if you're trying to solve it, but we're not at the point of solving. Let's see. 4 decreased by y. What do you think that might be? That sounds like subtraction, doesn't it? So 4 minus y. When you get into the practice today, the page is going to give you terms like the sum and divided by, the product of, subtract, combine, added to, decreased. And you're going to have to first ask yourself, what operation are we looking at? Once you have that operation figured out, you will be able to just combine the different terms. And it's not going to be overwhelming if you breathe in, because when you combine something, what are you doing? Are you multiplying it or are you adding it? Well, you're adding it. So if I have $2 and you have $4, if I combine our money, we have $6. It's an addition operation. In an upcoming lesson, we will be looking at how to solve these basic problems. At this point, you should return to the Google Classroom. There will be a Google form there with some linear expressions to translate. We also have a paper copy. If you're in class, you should fill that out. Remember, this is to expose you to terminology and things that you're going to do in the 6th grade to help you be better prepared. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'd be happy to work independently with you. But for today, have a minute, Gishigad. Minwa, Bamapi.